Some believe the long-lasting plague, which returned off and on from the mid-1500s to 1665, was caused by London's built-up filth soaking deep into the ground. If that's true, then the Great Fire of 1666 acted like a necessary surgery to save the city, successfully burning much of London within the walls, about 436 acres, including almost every house and building. Now let's talk about the Great Fire of London, which started late at night. History has many untold stories, and we want to hear yours. Please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your input helps us build a community where everyone learns something new. At 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, September 2nd, 1666, a fire began at Farriner's Bakery on Pudding Lane, a narrow street with wooden houses that leaned close together. The bakery was full of wood for fuel, so the fire quickly grew and spread in all directions, especially west and north. Nearby was an inn called the Star, with a courtyard full of hay and straw. Soon, Pudding Lane was completely destroyed. People seemed panicked and mostly tried just to escape. When morning came, the fire had reached Thames Street, filled with warehouses holding flammable goods like butter, cheese, brandy, wine, oil, sugar, hemp, tar, pitch, rope, hops, wood, and coal. The only way to stop such a fire was to blow up houses to create breaks, but people strongly resisted this at first. Water supplies were insufficient. Even London's water pumps on London Bridge were destroyed along with the houses there. To save their belongings and escape, people used every available cart, wagon, carriage, or boat. Many paid large sums, £40 or even £400 for wealthy owners, to move valuables, like silverware and jewels, out of harm's way. These goods were left in open fields under owners' watch, but were often stolen openly. People who had friends in villages near London took their money and valuables to their friends' houses for safekeeping. Pepys buried his valuables in the garden of Sir W. Ryder at Bethnal Green. Later, he dug them up but lost some money because the bags had rotted. A strong east wind spread the fire from roof to roof, house to house, and street to street. The fire burned almost without stopping. By Monday morning, it had spread from Pudding Lane to Gracechurch Street, Lombard Street, St. Swithin's and Candlewick Street, and along the river up to the Three Cranes in the Vintry. By Tuesday night, it had destroyed everything as far west as St. Dunstan's and Fleet Street. By this time, the men arrived from the dockyards, and by blowing up houses, the fire was stopped in many places at once. The Duke of York led the effort and won everyone's respect by working hard, carrying buckets and giving orders. On Wednesday, the fire started again in the Temple, but was quickly put out. The damage caused by this terrible disaster was estimated as follows: 13,200 houses destroyed, worth £3,900,000, 400 streets, 87 parish churches worth £261,600, 6 chapels worth £12,000, goods and merchandise worth £3,800,000, and public buildings worth £939,000. St. Paul's Cathedral was rebuilt at a cost of £2 million. The total loss, including smaller items, was estimated at £10,730,500. The public buildings destroyed included St. Paul's Cathedral, 87 parish churches, 6 chapels, the Royal Exchange, the Custom House, Sion College, Greyfriars Church, St. Thomas of Aquin, the Justice House, 4 prisons, 50 company halls, and 4 gates. By that time, many old noble townhouses and merchant palaces had been demolished and turned into private homes, warehouses, and shops such as the Erber, Cold Harbor, La Riole, and the King's Wardrobe. Most medieval buildings except the churches were gone, but many remains like walls, vaults, arches, and other parts of ancient buildings still existed. Losing these was a great loss to historians and antiquarians. This terrible disaster is unmatched in history, except maybe the Lisbon earthquake. There was a fire before that spread across London from east to west. But back then London was poor, with few merchants and small half-filled warehouses. By 1665, the warehouses were much larger and full of valuable goods. There is still a warehouse south of Thames Street built right after the fire, clearly modeled after older ones. It has 7 or 8 low stories and small gables, reminders of the old style. Seeing this warehouse and knowing there used to be Many like it along the river with lanes and stairs between. Helps us understand how much merchants lost in the fire. Also, considering the rows of shops on Cheapside, Eastcheap, Ludgate Hill, and Cornhill shows us how badly retail traders were ruined during that terrible week. Everything they owned was destroyed except their right to rebuild on the same spot. Skilled workers lost their tools and workshops. Booksellers lost their books. Apprentices lost both their jobs and their tools. Men standing alone. Tears are running down their cheeks. Many believe the fire destroyed everything in its path. But that wasn't true. Many church towers remained partly standing. Recently, while building offices in the city on the site of St. Olave's Church in Old Jewry, it was found that the lower part of the tower and stone turret belonged to the old church. Many crypts survived. Some brick walls stayed standing. In one case, an entire courtyard survived. During the fire, strong easterly winds blew. Here is the few reason why the fire spread. First, that it began between 1 and 2, o'clock after midnight, when everyone was fast asleep. Second, many important people were away on Saturday night. Only servants remained in their city houses. Third, it was the long vacation. Many wealthy citizens were in the country. They were at fairs and settling debts. Fourth, the buildings were close together. The streets were narrow. This helped the fire spread because fire engines couldn't reach the burning houses. Fifth, the houses were made of old timber. Sixth, the weather had been very dry. There was a drought before and during the fire. The timber was extremely dry and flammable. Seventh, the goods in the area were highly flammable. They included oil, pitch, tar, rope, hemp, flax, rosin, wax, butter, cheese, wine, brandy, and sugar. Eighth, an east wind had been blowing strongly for days. Ninth, the water supply failed. The Thames water tower was broken. This reasoning did not satisfy the people. They began to whisper that the fire was started by an outsider, perhaps a Dutchman or, more likely, a Roman Catholic. Several Dutch and French individuals were arrested on suspicion of arson, but they were released due to a lack of evidence. Ultimately, Hubert was hanged. Because he died as a Catholic, many concluded that it was all part of a Catholic conspiracy. This notion was even inscribed on a new monument that was erected. In his memory, the inscription was taken down when James II became king, but it was restored when William III arrived. It stayed on the monument until 1830, when the Common Council ordered its removal. It is often said that homeless people sought shelter in Moorfields, but this is only partly accurate. A total of 13,200 houses were destroyed, leaving 200,000 people without shelter. This means that if these numbers are correct, the city was very crowded, with an average of 15 people per house, regardless of size. Not everyone could fit in Moorfields, as there simply wasn't enough space for all of them. The upper and lower Moorfields together covered an area of about 840,000 square feet, roughly the size of a square with 900-foot sides. Each hut, measuring 15 feet by 20 feet, can accommodate 5 people. Based on this, we could fit 2,800 huts in Moorfields alone, which would house about 14,000 people, not including the lanes between them. However, according to Evelyn, many people were scattered across St. George's Fields, Moorfields, and as far as Highgate. He noted that there were around 200,000 individuals of various backgrounds spread out along the roads, surrounded by the belongings they had managed to save from the fire. To address their immediate needs, the king arranged for a large supply of bread to be sent from the Navy stores. Local justices of the peace were also ordered to gather and distribute food. While it was reported that only 6 lives were lost in the fire, I believe this number is significantly low. The rapid spread of the flames kept many from escaping as they tried to save a little more of their belongings. Evelyn even remarked on the horrible smell he encountered during his first visit to the ruins, a reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded. Temporary chapels were also built in Moorfields. Once the fire had died down and the embers had cooled, people began to return and the rebuilding of the city commenced. Although part of the city east of Billingsgate, including the river and shipping area, remained intact, business continued but was still hindered. The Royal Exchange was temporarily moved to Gresham College, which also served as their guild hall. The excise office relocated to Southampton Street near Bedford House. The General Post Office moved to Bridges Street in Covent Garden. The Custom House was established on Mark Lane, and Doctors' Commons was set up at Exeter House on the Strand. Authorities repurposed undamaged meeting houses as temporary churches. In just 4 years, they rebuilt 10,000 houses, 20 churches, and many company halls. However, it took 30 years to complete the construction of 51 churches to replace the 87 that had been destroyed. The fire had a significant impact on the city's shopkeepers, forcing many of them to leave. Maitland notes that before the fire, Paternoster Row was mainly filled with mercers, silkmen, and lacemen. These shops were so popular among the nobility and gentry that carriages often blocked the street, leaving little room for pedestrians. After the fire, many tradesmen relocated to different areas, likely setting up temporary shops. They found these new locations, including Henrietta Street, Bedford Street, and King Street in Covent Garden, suitable enough to stay permanently. However, Ludgate Hill continued to be the main street for top mercers and lacemen for a long time. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps us grow and share more amazing history documentary content with you. Stay tuned for more exciting stories and knowledge every week.